everybody, welcome back to the booth. I'm Tundra.
You're Tundra? Yeah. I'm Randy Bueller, and I'm being joined by first place. This is what they're playing for. Pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, this is pretty sweet. And what's even kind of cool this year, as I didn't bring it back here, but you know, there's a huge collector's market for these original pieces of art.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
it is, shall we say, a valuable first prize.
It is a valuable first prize. So what they've done is, if you've seen those oversized cards that some Wizards will sometimes produce, they produce an oversized Tundra with this artwork. So the winner also gets that to commemorate their victory.
So you could hold on to one, perhaps.
Right, if you
part with the painting.
If you were so inclined.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's smart. That's very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. And then, you know, tomorrow we'll reveal the piece for the Vintage Championships, which is tomorrow. So, you know, right now, you know, we're just focused on the Legacy Champs, but, you know, there is this small matter of Vintage. This is it, right? This is the pinnacle of, you know, competitive Magic in terms of, like, just the most scarce cards and the, you know, the most expansive list of cards that you can play with. It's like the biggest pool imaginable.
It's only like 15,000 cards.
That's it. Yeah.
The 15,000.
Yeah. And how many of those? What percentage of those do you think would be classified as vintage playable?
I mean, it's probably it's probably a 4-digit number.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff that you can play. There's a lot of cards that kind of only find a home there. There's a lot of weird archetypes. I feel like you could come up with 1,000 of them.
Awesome. All right, someone get to work.
I mean, look, at some level, it depends what counts as playable. Like, will be played in this tournament tomorrow. I bet it's 1,000.
Bladed Agent, right? Like,
yeah, you could build a Vintage Infect list.
Yeah.
You could totally build a Vintage Infect list. I thought about building a Vintage Infect list for Vintage Super League at one point. And then I realized, oh, this is like even more vulnerable to Mental Misstep than my Storm combo decks.
Stupid Mental Misstep.
Mental Misstep is, yes. I mean, just by having Legacy have unrestricted Brainstorm, but Mental Misstep banned. It's just such a difference from Vintage. Like the way those two shuffle, and it just changed the way the early turns play out dramatically.
Well, it was fascinating watching. You guys had George Fleet in here last round, the last 9-0 player standing in the tournament, and he's just playing Chalice in the void. Yeah, I think you and I had talked about it earlier, watching some of these matchups. Like, man, Chalice would be pretty rough here.
Yeah. And
so he's just putting Chalice on 1 on turn 2, backing it up with a Force of Will. Sometimes then a couple turns later, he just chalicing for 2. And multiple times during this tournament, I've heard people in the gallery, you know, call a judge on him because he played his Lord of Atlantis
through Cavern of Souls.
Yes, he's playing Cavern of Souls.
Yeah.
4 of them, you know, or 3 of them, but whatever.
At least 3.
Yeah, at least 3. And you know, so it's a sweet little. This deck's actually really super sweet. He's got Vendilion clicks. He's got 1 Vendilion click in the deck, and he's using that on Miracle triggers and Stoneforge activations.
Wow. That's odd. Cool.
Yeah. So he's doing some really cool stuff. He's got, you know, that deck was really like, seems very well placed in this field going forward.
Yeah, I think when Treasure Cruise got banned, people forgot about Chalice.
Yeah.
It's like, that was just because of all the Treasure Cruise shenanigans.
Right.
No, it's actually because Brainstorm's still around. Brainstorm still costs 1. There's a bunch of really good cards that cost 1 mana.
We've seen decks with Preordained Ponder, Brainstorm, you know, some red or pyro blast, lightning bolt, Swords to Plowshares.
Yep.
You know, Sensei's Divining Top, by the way, you know, against the Miracles deck, it was just like, you know, the Miracles player had to flip his top at some point to try to do something, and there's a challenge.
It's just gone forever.
And it's just gone forever. And he's just like, you know, he can make the effort, right? He can make the effort. He can be like, you know, he's like, no counter.
Trigger.
Yeah. He missed 1.
Oh, he missed 1?
He missed 1. Well, yeah, it was just like, you know, and then once he missed 1, then, you know, every opportunity to sort of try to push that through. But yeah, no, that deck looks pretty sweet. There was Blighted Agent, by the way, playing 1 table away in the feature match area.
Yeah, we had Infect on camera last round.
Oh, you did have the Infect deck on?
Yeah, losing the lands, but we had an Infect. Was there more than 1?
There might be more than 1, yeah. Was the lands match the only match you had in there the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, then there were 2. Because there was another. The next table over was Infect versus Goblins.
Goblins?
Goblins.
Like aggro goblins?
Like aggro goblins, like Goblin War Chief.
Huh. Sure. I'm still trying to figure out what's in the Goblin Prison deck that we heard about earlier. I just heard the words Goblin Prison, and it's just like some rumor. It's like the ice deck, like not a real deck, just like a memory, a hint of a deck. Exactly.
Goblin. I don't even know what would Goblin.
I don't know. Goblin opposition, maybe.
That would work.
I mean, kinda.
So, 2 more rounds to go.
Yep.
Anything that has surprised you?
I don't know that anything's been like, oh my god, I've never seen that before. It's just a lot of people who really love Legacy, a lot of people who really play Legacy very well. I mean, for me, it's more sort of the size of the thing is probably the biggest surprise. Yeah. 744 is a big number.
It is a big number.
744 is just a giant number.
In a pinnacle of humble brags, Bob Marr claimed that he may have won 2 GPs that don't add up to the total attendance of this event. I thought it was...
It was a little more humble braggy than that. Because Bob was like, the full conversation. Bob says, I've won GPs smaller than this. I said, yeah, me too. Bob said, I've won 2 GPs that add up to less than this. And I said, I haven't.
Yeah.
There's a little more subtext to the conversation.
Yeah. But it was quite good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the field is gigantic. There's all these people that care about Legacy. I mean, for me, what I see is just a pent-up demand for Legacy. There's been a little bit less Legacy on the Open circuit than in previous years, and people want it. Right. People have come out to play. People have come out to watch. It's been a fun weekend so far. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest surprise for me. It's just quite how much demand there was both to play this tournament and watch it.
Right. It's always the sense you get of the Legacy community is always really a special thing about this event every year, right? You know, I think I've been doing this 3 years now. I think you've been doing this
3 years, I think.
3 years, yeah. And the excitement around it and the passion around it, right? You know, that kind of like real like ferocity about like protecting this format and, you know, making sure that it's put on the proper pedestal is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think Nick Koss gets a lot of credit for that. Like the Eternal Weekend, right? The Legacy champs plus Vintage champs had bounced around a little bit. They were at Gen Con for a while. It bounced around, it was at Gen Con for a little while, and then Nick really took this weekend and has taken ownership of it in a way that I think has really turned it into this special thing that people just look forward to over the course of a year. And just get ready and prepare for both the Vintage Championships and the Legacy Championships.
You and Bob were both talking about people preparing, you know, 6 months out, you know, knowing what their deck is and making those, you know, like, you know, almost I feel like they're using tiny screwdrivers and like jeweler's loops to like tune their deck.
That, or they couldn't resist the lure of a 100-player trial for Vintage Champs.
So what is the 100-player trial?
It's a Vintage tournament with 100 people in it. First place is 2 buys tomorrow morning.
Yeah, by the way, also buys available tomorrow morning for the players in the top 8 here. Right.
That's another thing, because Nick has got the Vintage Champ set up where it is possible to win a couple buys in it. One of the ways you can win buys is pick top 8 in Legacy. Right. And the Legacy top 8 plays out in the morning, so does the WMCQ top 8. If those players want to hop into Vintage Champs after they get knocked out of their top 8, they can. Right, so quarterfinals is 1 buy, semifinals is 2 buys. I believe that's the system, yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, no, the whole weekend is just really well put together. And yeah.
Looks like we're just getting the top 3 tables here. It's my prediction. Let's take a look. So George Fleet's playing Hank Mead. Sam Roukas is playing Akash Naidu, and Ed D'Amico is playing Peter White. So we've seen several of these players. We've seen 3 of them already, right? We've seen everyone on the left-hand side here.
Yep.
Well, you haven't seen George play.
We've interviewed him.
Well, you interviewed him.
The other players on 24 points that are still very much in contention: Bob Wang, Paolo Cesari, Kevin King, Max Ansbro, and Charlie Holland. Then there's a couple players on a loss and a draw who should still be in it: Kevin Hernandez and Jeremy Fahong.
So do you think it's really like the top 18 or so players right now are?
Yeah, I mean, how many players does that give us? That gives us 16. The list that I just made is actually 15. Yeah, I mean, I think half of them make it and half of them don't. Maybe set up to have a lot of draws next round. I mean, some of it depends on whether George dream crushes Hank Mead, right? Or whether if George loses, then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could have 8 people on one loss who all shake hands, hypothetically.
Let's take a look at what our decks are. Okay, well, we're going to start off on Sam Roukas, who we've already seen playing Blue-White Miracles, and he's playing against Akash, and Akash is playing, he's playing Omnitell. So who do you like in this matchup?
I mean, I have a soft spot for the Omnitell deck. I just love the elegance of it. You get to play basic lands, so you're not vulnerable to Wasteland. You have this awesome combo finish. I gotta say that the matchup against Miracles, I don't know how this works out. Man, main deck Pyroblast. 2 main deck Pyroblast? Sam is ready.
Sam is ready. It's kind of funny to see, Sam, we also, again, talking to George Fleet, who's playing the Merfolk deck, he's like, he felt like he was ready for these decks, right, these control decks. So it's interesting to see the people who took a little bit of a swing in terms of what they were expecting here in their main decks, doing really well. I guess if you can bias your matchups in that first game.
Where did all the Stoneforge Mystics go?
I don't know. I haven't seen them.
That's what I'm surprised by now. Like, I saw plenty of Stoneforge Mystics early, but I was expecting a bunch of Stoneforge Mystic decks and Delver decks.
Right. That was certainly the prediction early on, right? It's like, oh, don't worry, we'll see the Stoneforge Mystic decks late, right? That's the expectation.
No, we're seeing Merfolk. We're seeing there's multiple Omnitells.
Right, so George Fleet's playing Merfolk. I don't know what Hank's playing. What was Ed playing? He was Delver. He's
Crixus Delver.
Yeah. Which has been a sweet looking deck. So he's also playing the version with Young Pyromancer and Taxian Probe and
his Cabal therapies are in the sideboard.
Okay.
His main deck is set up with Stifle, Wasteland. Like, he's very much attacking your mana base with his main deck. Daze, right? Stifle, Daze, Wasteland.
Okay.
Instead of in the spots where like Cabal Therapy and more cantrips could be, hypothetically.
Okay. And then we're gonna get more deck lists as they get sorted, so we'll see what's what here. But both our players are 8-1. And now, is it your feeling that second loss is fatal?
I mean, it depends how many people get to draw in the last round. Like, maybe 1 or 2 sneak in, but like if you already have 2 losses, you're almost certainly dead.
Right, and so the winner here is able to draw into top.
Yeah, you're right. I think our feature match area is win-and-ins.
So it's possible that it's not an elimination, but it is a coronation for someone.
Yeah, all but.
Yeah, something could still go horribly awry, but
I mean, tiebreakers and cuts always get a little weird, but
yeah.
I'm sure both players feel like, I win this one, I shake hands in the last round, done and dusted. Coming back tomorrow morning to play Legacy in the top 8.
And then you see the players. That's Sam Roukas on the left, and that's Akash Naidu on the right. And they're just looking at their opening hand, seeing if it's something they can keep. And that's something we haven't seen a ton of this weekend, actually. We've not seen a ton of mulligans. And I wonder if that has a lot to do with all the deck manipulation that you see.
Sure. I mean, you certainly can. Hands with cantrips can fix their draw. Like, Brainstorm's the kind of card that, I'm not going to mulligan a hand with a Brainstorm in it.
I got a Force of Will, I got a Brainstorm, I got a Fetch Land, I've got a Snapcaster Mage. That's a very keepable hand regardless of what the other cards are.
Pretty much.
What kind of hands do you mulligan if you're Sam? Is it like, and Entreat the Angels and a and two Terminus? that's not a keepable hand.
Yeah, some of it also depends whether he knows what he's playing against.
Right.
I mean,
These
we're
guys
deep enough
they've
in
been
the
playing
tournament.
near each other.
I suspect they've been playing near each other. Probably knows he's against Omnitell, where you just want a different set of cards than you would against, Delver.
Right. So in this case, it could also be that the mulligan's not, oh no, this isn't, my hand is terrible, woe is me, as much as a strategic mulligan where you're looking.
I drew my creature kill spells.
Yeah.
Ship it back.
Right. And he said in some of these matchups, we talked to him earlier, he said he has some pretty bad cards game one for some of these matchups.
Sure, yeah, 4 copies of Terminus, 3 Swords to Plowshares. I mean, I guess if you time it right, you can Terminus and Emrakul. Time it really well, though.
All right, and we are underway. Akash Naidu breaks a fetch land. He's going to go get an island.
The Unglued Island.
And promptly cast Preordain. The telltale card, according to Josh Ravitz,
Preordain?
of the Omnitell deck.
Okay.
Now we'll ponder.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this deck gets to do, right? Play all the deck manipulation in the world. Dig Through Time has certainly added to its power level in recent months.
Keeps him on top. Or at least keeps one on top.
Akash Naidu got 9th at GP New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
Is that the biggest Legacy tournament ever? It's that Star City GP, right?
Yeah.
It's gigantic.
This is small. This is like F&M to him.
All right, yeah.
I'm gonna take a look.
Wow. Sam Roukas concedes to Gitaxian Probe. That was insane. How bad does your hand have to be to concede to Gitaxian Probe?
Well, I mean, again, maybe he knows what Akash is playing, but doesn't think Akash knows what he's playing?
Sure, that is possible.
Wow!
That was crazy. Like, I mean, obviously, it sure looked like Akash was going in for the kill. Let me see what I need to play around, right? I've cantripped 3 times. I've probably, Sam's obviously assuming he's giving Akash credit for having sculpted the perfect hand.
Right.
Show omniscience, whatever, go get the Emrakul. But you're not even going to make him prove that he's got it? What if he's just cycling a Gitaxian Probe in order to cycle a Gitaxian Probe because he's still digging for stuff?
Right.
I don't know. Sam's hand has to be truly terrible there for that concession to make sense. Like, for the value of the information.
I'm going to call 3 swords.
And a Terminus?
And an Entreat. And a Terminus. I don't even know.
I mean, he did mulligan.
Yeah. I mean, all land? But even all land, you wouldn't concede there.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. But I mean, it really does he know, maybe Akash said something about not knowing what he's on. Right, if Akash was fishing for, like, sometimes you sit down and you're just like having a conversation with the guy trying to see if you can get them to give up what they're playing,
right?
Because you don't know and they know what you're playing. I mean, if Akash fished for what archetype are you playing, then that concession, now it's actually worth a couple percentage points in games 2 and 3, right?
Sure.
Your opponent, you can get Akash to miss sideboard for game 2. But wow, unless he knows that Akash is confused about his archetype, I wouldn't scoop there without knowing for sure that he's got it.
Yeah. But you know what? It's also been a very long day.
You're gonna make a stamina argument?
No, I'm not saying stamina. I'm just saying, like, sometimes people just get frustrated, right? Like, I'm just saying, like a tilt argument.
Oh, sure.
Right? Like, he's like, yeah,
Sure.
you know, and you know, you just make a wrong-headed decision. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I'm really curious. But you know, we've seen Sam make a bunch of like pretty big changes in his deck also to game 2.
Okay.
So you know, his Monastery Mentors.
Interesting.
How's the Ethos 1 Canonist?
Doesn't do much. Like, you show Omniscience, yeah, then you have to say go.
Right.
Kill him the next turn. It's not a catastrophe,
Right.
but it's an annoyance. I think the Monastery Mentor plan also sounds like this isn't really a Monastery Mentor matchup.
Okay.
Red Elemental Blast sounds good to me. Vendilion Click sounds great. Flusterstorm sounds great.
Sure.
Maybe Surgical Extraction's not bad either.
So surgical extraction can be pretty good here, right? You just go and you just get like show and tell or omniscience. Yeah, actually, I guess you get omniscience.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, you can even get Emrakul with the trigger on this deck.
Sure.
2 Rebs, 2 Clicks, 2 Flusterstorms, 2 Extractions. We're up to 8, so we can take all the creature kill out of the deck.
Sure.
4 Terminus, 3 Plow.
Yeah.
I would do something like that. I don't think I would transform here. Like, it just doesn't feel like a matchup where either Mentor or Canonist is all that insanely good.
Right. So if you go, you don't like Cannon. I would say because if you go Cannon, you can also like play Wear Tear and kind of
Get the Omniscience.
I guess I don't know. So one Wear Tear, probably not. Now what do you think Akash does now, especially if we're assuming he's at some sort of situation where he doesn't know what his opponent's playing?
Sure, he has the ability to sideboard in young Pyromancers. He's got the similar kind of, I have this alternate angle I can attack from after sideboarding because you took your creature kill spells out. Wow, young Pyromancer sounds pretty tempting to me. Like, from this side, this is a matchup where the value that you're going to get from a young Pyromancer in a game where there shouldn't be many creature kill spells running around. Yeah, I would transform, I think, if I was Akash.
I think I saw a surgical extraction in hand for Sam and a red elemental blast. Keeps them, pulls the Snapcaster Mage off the top of his deck there. Taxian.
No, this one doesn't prompt a concession. Thought that was the game-winning card.
But there's the surgical extraction.
Yeah, it's not going to be trivial to plow through. Force of Will and a blue card, counterspell, red blast.
And the small matter of the extraction maybe creating a little bit of an obstacle for you to your path to victory.
Maybe.
Second land for Roukas. There's Counterbalance,
Aha.
which he knew was on top of his deck because we didn't see it in his hand, so
Yep.
he went Snapcaster Counterbalance.
Smart. Yeah, Akash has to fight. Cannot afford to let counterbalance resolve.
He's got 2 Force of Will.
Question is, what do you pitch?
Is he pitching Force of Will?
He's thinking about it. I mean, he knows his opponent has a Force of Will, though. We just saw his hand last turn. I don't think you can pitch Force of Will here.
And let me ask you, if you go Force of Will here over the Crown of Bounce and he forces back, you have to come over the top if you can?
Well, that's what Akash just decided he can't afford to.
Okay.
He decided he can't afford to pitch 2 other blue cards.
Okay.
And Sam said, good enough. Sam not willing to lose his own Force of Will.
Okay. You see really the chess moves here, like, sort of layering the cards on top of your deck, and what information can I hide from you in your Gitaxian probe.
Akash found a Flusterstorm. Pretty good counterspell. This matchup. Sam now has both counterspell and red blast online. He can counter 3 times now. Counterspell, pitching Snapcaster, or Counterspell, Force pitching Snapcaster, Red Blast.
Oh, there's your young Pyromancer.
Yeah, I like it. Surgical Extraction as a response. Now the interesting thing that this does is gives him a free look at Akash's hand. I mean, I don't like the effect as much as
it's just another
Gitaxian probe. But I mean, sometimes you catch them with a card that you care about, right? He just picked up his own library accidentally. Funny. Wow, Surgical Extraction targeting Force of Will. Can you imagine if Akash had not pitched Force of Will to Force? Sam doesn't Force, but extracts. I wonder if that's part of the reason why Akash did pitch Force to Force, is because he'd Gitaxian probed and seen the Surgical Extraction.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's probably contributed. I mean, when Surgical Extraction gets a card from hand, it's insane. Usually it does this. It gets some information and cards out of the deck. Okay, so now that he's seen what he's up against, Sam decides Young Pyromancer's worth a counterspell. Akash is doing the sportsman-like thing of just leaving his hand face up for now. I'm guessing he's going to Flusterstorm, which is really hard to Force of Will. So the Flusterstorm resolves, targeting the counterspell, and then Sam uses Force of Will on the original Young Pyromancer. Well, he's forced there, not Red Blast. I think it's because Akash hasn't seen the Red Blast. I think, no, Red Blast was there.
Yeah, Red Blast has been there for a while.
Oh, you can't Red Blast a Young Pyromancer, it's not blue. Right, because he had to let the Flusterstorm resolve.
Right.
If it had been a different counterspell on his counterspell, he would have, but obviously can't Red Blast a Pyro.
So, show and tell?
Wow. Yeah, show and tell for Omniscience. Huh. He lets the show and tell resolve.
Yeah.
Lets Omniscience come into play. He knows that Akash didn't have the kill in hand.
Right.
So as soon as Akash yields priority by putting a Ponder on the stack, Red Blast can destroy target blue permanent.
It's pretty sweet.
Yes. Ponder did still resolve, but
It's kind of like, yeah. But Brainstorm now. Both these players are just kind of playing off the top here.
well, they are now. I mean, Sam had the hand of I can counter 3 times. Young Pyromancer baited one of those counters. Sam was able to fend off the combo, but now there's this Young Pyromancer off the top. So I mean, they both had decent hands, and they just kind of all canceled each other out. Now all Akash needs is a string of cantrips. What does Snapcaster get?
Brainstorm or Ponder?
Ponder.
Yeah.
No removal spells in there for the Young Pyromancer.
Brainstorm.
Dividing Top. And a fetch land to reshuffle the Brainstorm cards. That was a great turn for Sam Roukas. I mean, the net result is he has a Goblin Piker in play and a Divining Top, so it doesn't look insane, but...
but dig through time for Akash Naidu. Nothing Sam Roukas can do about that right now.
You mean just because he's tapped out and has no cards in his hand?
That's exactly why. At what point is it too late to put the token into play?
When the spell resolves, right?
Yeah.
Casting the spell triggers the token. The token should be above the dig through time on the stack.
Yes.
So too late. No elemental token for Akash Naidu.
Oh, unless he announced it. No. Sounds like they might be waiting to get a token from the judge. Or they're waiting to get a ruling from a judge about whether or not
That's actually my guess right now.
Yeah.
You know the other thing that's impressive about this weekend so far to me? It's only 8:30.
Wow.
It's 8:30 Saturday night right now. We're in round 10.
Wow.
Like 11 rounds sounded like a ton.
Yeah, yes.
But it's only 8:30. It's not even 8:30. And we're already in round 10.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
You might be out at a human hour to eat dinner.
Maybe. Yeah, they're calling a judge to rule on the miss trigger. You mean those Beeler's Donuts weren't dinner?
They were first dinner.
I had them for breakfast and lunch.
Well, this is it, because you can't get them tomorrow.
Oh, they're closed on Sunday.
They're closed on Sunday. Yeah, it's a. I guess they're Amish or they're but they're religious. They observe the Sabbath on Sunday, and they don't sell their delicious donuts.
Wow.
I mean, which is insane to me because the peanut butter banana bacon donuts are so sinful that you'd think they'd at least make an exception for those.
Sure.
There you see the judge sort of explaining the before the spell has resolved phase and the after the spell has resolved phase.
Yeah, if he's resolved to dig through time, I don't see how he gets to go back. That seems like too late.
Unless he said the word trigger.
Right. Yeah, if he did something to indicate that the trigger was happening, then okay, fair enough. He just forgot to put the trigger in play, but clearly put the effect on the stack.
Again, all we see are the hands, but it looked like he forgot.
Yeah.
And my understanding from Alex is that he ruled that this is a mistrigger and that you would not get your elemental. I find myself disagreeing with this ruling. We have a policy called out-of-order sequencing, which says that if a player takes a block of actions, that without gaining any information that could reasonably affect actions in that sequence, you should allow that player to take those actions in an incorrect order.
That's a question.
Absolutely.
Is looking at 7 new cards considered
I don't know if maybe
not
people at
sufficient
home
enough
can hear the players talking.
So if it was a situation where this trigger targeted, for example, I would absolutely consider that to be
appealing.
a bridge too far. In this case, Young Pyromancer just makes an elemental and puts it on.
I mean, the ruling's gone
There's no
against
information
Akash,
that's
right?
realistically going to affect
It's Akash
his
that's
choices
appealing?
out of
Yeah,
dig through
gave the
time,
judge,
nor
gave the
is
ruling
the
Brian
dig
and I
through
were
time
expecting,
cards
which is,
affecting
we resolved the dig through time, dude. It's too late.
That is why I do not believe that there's any information or being gained. We're just doing a bunch of things all at the same time. If
That's unbelievable. But you got it. Go ahead. It's all good.
I'm happy to talk about this after it's always been on stage.
He doesn't,
Sure.
Okay.
you know, assuming he's not just.
He got it?
What was the reasoning behind him getting the token? Did he? We're just trying to find out what exactly happened, that he does get the token. But I guess it might...
They ruled out of order sequencing.
Okay.
And Akash was... Okay. He was in the middle of resolving dig through time when he went to get the counter? I thought he had already finished resolving dig through time. Oh, we put the 7 cards down? All right.
Okay. So, anyway, he starts building his army.
Yes, indeed.
Preordain after the dig through time. Gets him another token.
Top with the preordain.
Yeah.
It's never a good sign. Meanwhile, Sam keeps seeing pyroblasts.
Yeah, he needs blue elemental blasts here. Goes into brainstorm mode. Plays his top. Plays land. Does he have an entreat on top of his deck?
Does he? Aha! Show and tell. Sam gonna go fishing.
Show and tell, get a token, go.
Yeah, show and tell.
What's
Emrakul?
into play? Wow.
I brought a giant flying spaghetti monster to class. What did you bring? I didn't even have any cards in my hand.
Now we are searching for the 1 or 2 maybe copies of Terminus. Here's an Aetherborn Canonist.
Ponder, see 1 fresh card, and then shuffle.
Wow.
Deck sees a lot of cards.
Attention active players, a Jeffrey Catalano to the room. Please come out to the main stage. Jeffrey Catalano to the main stage.
Draws the card for Ponder.
Yep. Wow. So
Akash Naidu?
Yeah. He's the winner. He goes to 9-1.
Yeah.
Sam Roukas, who was undefeated at 8-0, is taking 2 straight losses.
Oh yeah. Good point.
So, and is probably
now
in rough shape.
He's in rough shape. I don't think he's dead. I think it's one of those, okay, win, cross your fingers, hope somebody sneaks into next to 2 and you have the breakers for it.
Right.
Since he was 8-0, there's a
His
chance
tiebreakers
that,
will be excellent.
you know, should a 9-2 actually get in after next round, he's got a shot.
Right. And again, you could have a bunch of players jockeying and people don't feel like they can draw.
Yeah. My eyeballing it looks like we're going to have a lot of IDs and not very many relevant matches in the last round.
Okay.
It looks like there's going to be a bunch of players on X1, all of whom can safely draw in.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Some of it depends on, you know, what happens on the undefeated match versus Hank Mead at X1. Some of it depends on the pair down match, right? Charlie Holland has been paired down. Like,
sure.
How many players actually get to 9-1? But yeah, eyeballing it, I think lots of IDs, which is bad news for the 2 lost players.
Right. So
Good news for Akash Naidu, though.
Yeah, no,
All he needs is a handshake.
yeah, Omnitell through to the top 8, more than likely. right? You do have situations
Right.
now, like you can easily see a situation where Sam Roukas drove here with a friend. His friend is, gets paired up.
Needs help.
Needs help.
Dream
says,
crush.
I got to
Open up a hole for me.
We've seen weirder things than that happen.
I feel like that backfires more often than it actually works.
Sure. Yeah.
Tried that at a Pro Tour once. Didn't work.
Yeah. No. But you see, there are things that can happen to affect. And there's some people are like, you know what? I come here.
I came to play.
I came to play. Once a year, I get to play in a big legacy event. This is it. I don't want to, I don't want to draw. We'll ask Akash what he wants to do. What his plan is for the last round. Akash, congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Scooch in tight a little bit.
Squeeze in here.
There
Squeeze
you
in.
go.
There we go. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I just so tired. I made some questionable plays. I think the math was all right on them, but putting the Emrakul into play on the end was if he has a Terminus, I could just lose everything there. But I think I just wanted to give him as few draw steps as possible. But
For his deck is a lot of draw steps apparently.
Yeah, it's
he looked at a
7.
lot of cards.
yeah. I'm so excited. I'm just having so much fun. Magic's great.
Magic's always great when you're winning.
So I assume you're looking to shake hands next round and just lock up your spot in the top 8.
Gonna look at the standings, but I think I was in 4th, so probably good. Gonna draw it, hopefully.
So you have a 9th place finish at a large legacy event.
Yes, at the largest, in fact.
How big was that GP?
4,003.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So this is just Friday Night Magic to you.
Yeah.
No problem. 744. That's an easy top 8.
What other notable legacy events have you played? How often do you play legacy? What's your?
I play SCGs. Usually the ones that are close to New England.
You're from
Boston.
Boston, sure.
Yeah, other than that, I play with Ari Lax. He lives a few blocks away from me, so we just hang out and play Legacy sometimes. Yeah. I used to play every Tuesday at my friends, various friends' house. We used to have mock tournaments, and that was a while ago though. It's probably the reason I got at least decent. I'm not gonna say I'm good at Legacy, but yeah. I love Legacy a lot.
Why Omnitell?
So it's such funny. I wanted to test for New Jersey, GP New Jersey with the 4,000 player one. I wanted to test a lot ahead. So I was months before, I was playing games, and I was playing this banned shardless agent deck with Ancestral Visions because I just wanted to crush Miracle. And then Cons was released, and there's Treasure Cruise, and just everything was just useless. So I didn't get much time after Cons, and a week before the tournament, I well, I have to play something. So all right, I played Omniscience 2 years ago. Dig Through Time has to be good, right? I mean, have you read that card? So I started goldfishing that. I played a little bit with some of the judges that are actually working today. And I was I hate this card Into the Infinite. So I took them out of the deck. And I realized I just hit every time with Dig Through Time. It's just 2 Cunning Wishes kill you at instant speed. And so often, 95% of the time, it's just very hard to miss. Yeah, and that was it. I was just so happy playing that deck. I just never
So you did well with it in Jersey, and then you've just stuck with it. It's been your weapon of choice whenever you played Legacy since then.
Have you ever cast Dig Through Time? It just feels so good, man. It's people say that about Brainstorm, but Dig Through, oh my god, it's 2 demonic tutors. Yeah. I'm excited to play Vintage tomorrow too.
You're playing Vintage as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually last Vintage Champs I couldn't sleep, was awake for 2 days, and somehow found myself in a win-in in the last round. Lost to Harry Corvasi on camera.
Oh wow!
It's very brutal.
I thought I recognized you.
Yeah, you recognize my misclick. I literally just put it in my Grave Troll by accident instead of Bazaar. Just I think subconsciously I was oh, he cast a Show and Tell, so I must be playing Legacy, right? Alright, I'll put in this Grave Troll. It'll go to the Graveyard Troll Dread 6. Don't do that. But yeah, Vintage is a lot of fun too. I love the VSL.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
What's your weapon of choice in Vintage? Steel on Dredge?
Yeah, I'm playing Dredge because I don't own Power. I could have borrowed it this year, but I figured, I have like experience with it. I played Bugfish before it was cool to do that, and then also after.
Okay.
But that's not really a thing you can do anymore. So I mean, maybe someone will figure it out. But as far as I know, it's very hard to beat a Treasure Cruiser or dig through time with that deck.
So going into the top 8, you're fantasizing your bracket of decks in elimination here for Legacy. What would you like to see quarters, semis, finals?
Death and Taxes, Elves. Yeah, just like easy buys.
Decks where you don't have to fight over stuff?
Yeah, decks that don't have counter magic is a lot of it. Both those decks have interaction. Like Elves, they can turn 2 you. And postboard, they have discard, which is like pretty difficult. But with dig through time, you can buy back stuff easily, and you play around it with brainstorm. Yeah, it's actually funny. At New Jersey, I went to day 2 and played like 4 Elves decks in a row. It was like, oh, okay. I guess I didn't have to try today.
So for people who will see your list and think about picking it up, what's the big tip you would give them? Like, what's the one thing they need to know about playing Omnitell?
Just think about your cantrips a lot. I see a lot of people, they don't think multiple turns ahead with their ponders, so they keep their their brainstorms, they put back cards to protect themselves from discard, and they don't realize that they're dead the next turn when they need to draw both those cards again. So it's just that's the biggest mistake I see with this deck, is that people don't think multiple turns ahead with their cantrips.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll let you exercise your handshaking muscles for next round, and good luck with how the pairings play out. We'll check back in with you tomorrow morning, more than likely.
Good luck.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. So we got a little bit of time still left here, but we're gonna move things around, go look at some artwork, maybe do a little art thief, cutting a canvas out of a frame, rolling it up.
Show the art again.
Yeah,
show the first prize. Come on.
This is what these guys are playing for.
So pretty.
It's a Tundra. It's original art.
Get the glare.
Yeah. And who did the art on that?
Roukas.
Yeah. Beautiful. Like I said, not only do they get the original art framed like this, but they also get an oversized card.
Very nice.
Something that you can leave out on your wall and without fear of art thieves. Got it. Right?
Still invite BDM over.
Yeah, do not. I've always wanted to be a camper. Yeah, we'll be back. We have one more round to go. Get a little bit of a break. We're gonna look around, see what's going on, and then when we come back, we are gonna bring you round 11 of the Legacy Champs. Don't go anywhere. Almost pointless to go for the last round.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm saying it might be pointless to cover. We might not get any meaningful magic. Right. We'll watch one match, and when then it's over, we'll pack up and go to bed.